I'm going to walk you through how to get into the website. Then we're going to spend the rest of the time. I'm going to be showing you how to navigate the website and how to get to the materials. Okay. One of the things that I always tell people when you have access to this website, it is full of ready-made, ready to go materials to support students with communication challenges. Now, it's not just for your AAC kids. It's not just for your non-speaking kids. It's for all of your students who have vocabulary challenges, who are learning language, who are just starting their communication journey, students with developmental disabilities who are learning concepts, social skills, activities of daily living, all that stuff. So don't think about the DTA website as just a place for your AAC kids. It's going to work for all your students in your classrooms. I have a lot of teachers who will use the communication boards. Every student in the classroom gets a communication board, whether you talk or not. It's there to support their communication, because sometimes my mouth words don't work. Sometimes I don't have the vocabulary. So these tools can be of value to all of your students. They can be used one-on-one. They can be used for a group of students. They can be used in the classroom. They can be used in the therapy room. Doesn't matter how you use them, just use them. So once you log in, you will land here on the DTA schools homepage. This is how you get to the materials. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. Here's where you find your resource links. Okay, so this is one way. Scroll to the bottom of the page, yellow buttons. Yellow buttons get you to the good stuff. Okay. There's another way. If you go back up to the top, there's also a pull down menu. This allows you to go directly to the area that you want to go to. So let's say you're a preschool or early elementary teacher or SLP. You can just go straight there. Okay. Work with middle school, high school, right here. Like thematic units, I love a theme. You can go straight to those. So I'm going to walk you through each of these areas, but this is just one way that you can get to everything. I'm going to go to the resources and materials homepage site. So that's there. I'm going to scroll down to my resource links. Okay. Notice that they're organized in different categories. Don't get stuck in a category though. If you're working with middle and high school students, but you want to teach them in a thematic way, take a look at all year core and more. So what I'm saying is, don't just get stuck in one area, because there may be resources in all of these areas that support your students. Okay. So I'm going to start in the upper left corner, and we're just going to go through all of them. Okay. So let's start with preschool, early elementary. You're going to scroll. And I wanted to tell you, there's a lot of really good information embedded within the website. So it's not only just the resources, it's also kind of training for you to know, why is this stuff important? When should I use it? How should I use it? So I'm going to scroll down here. When you are on the website, look for embedded links like these, because you can get directly to materials, right? And also look for yellow buttons. Yellow buttons get you to stuff too. So we're in preschool. So here are some embedded links. Tools to assess early communication development. So we have these itty bitties coming into school, and we might need to kind of do a little assessment to figure out what their communication skills are. So if I click here, it brings me to some information about how I could do that, right? So there's just some assessments here, and here's your yellow buttons. This is how you get to the stuff. So I'm going to go back. Use your browser's back button to get back to the previous page, just like any other thing. I want to show you the literacy activities for AAC, because there's some cool stuff here. You have access to what we call the AAC picture book kits. These are great. Let me show you. So here's an embedded link. You can find your entire collection of the kits here. So when you click on this link, here's all the materials. So you'll notice these are some books that you may be familiar with. Goodnight Moon, Llama Llama books are in here. Pete the Cat, which is one of my favorites. Silly Sally, Mrs. Wishy Washy. So a lot of these titles you're probably familiar with. There's several old lady who swallowed something. This is how you get to the materials. I want to do Pete the Cat. I love my white shoes. We have that book on our shelf. I pull the book out. We're going to read it in class. So when you get the book kit, it's 7 pages. You can print this out. Okay. What you get in the book kit, it does not include the book. You have to provide the book. But what this gives you is a little lesson plan to teach language and vocabulary using the book. So what this gives you is 5 days worth of lessons. This book here, put this on your wish list. We used a lot of the research that is coming out about literacy instruction for, you can see it, students with significant disabilities, right? This is the work of Dr. Karen Erickson. We used a lot of her research when we developed these materials to make sure that we were supporting our students the best way we could. So one of the things that Dr. Erickson says is we need to give students more time with print and with text. So a 5-day lesson plan of reading the same book 5 days in a row. I actually have a teacher in Georgia who reads the same book for 2 weeks because we know our students take a little longer to grasp the concepts. But what this does is we read the book every day. Every day we read the book, but we read it for a different reason. Okay, so it tells you what core words could you work on using the students' communication board or their high-tech AAC system, right? Tells you what vocabulary to focus on. The next page is a low-tech printable communication board that goes along with the book, right? So I like to put together a little kit. I will have the book, I'll have a communication board, I might have some manipulatives in a little bin, and we're ready to go with Pete the Cat. So you get a communication board that's printable. You also get a simpler communication board for students who need more concrete symbols and students who may have vision impairment that need very simple visual information. So you get that board that's printable. One of the things that we found from our teachers and our SLPs and our paraprofessionals was, I don't know what words to model for my student. So we give you a script, right? This script goes along with the communication board. So it tells you what to point to when you say, look at Pete the Cat. Tells you what to point to on the board, how to model, okay? So you get a script. You also get data collection forms. These are sample goals. You can write in the students' goals. If they have specific language and literacy goals, you might have a student who has an attention goal. Student will attend a task for 15 seconds. That's where we are right now. So you can write in whatever goals you want for Pete the Cat. We have a lot of districts in Georgia who use TD Snap. If you all use different software, let me know because I could provide some resources around that. But what we do is we give them a little map of, if you're using TD Snap, here's where you can find the vocabulary that goes along with Pete the Cat. Okay. We also give some QR codes to watch a video on how to read a book to students who are non-speaking using shared reading strategies, how to do a predictable chart. And then there's some blank data collection forms here. With a lot of the book kits, you'll find some little cards or rhyming cards or things that you could use to supplement in a visual way the reading. Okay, so here you get some little song cards that you could use the same kind of song that they use for Pete the Cat. All right, so that is what a book kit looks like. So you have all of these titles. Embedding communication in daily preschool routines. I want to show you what's in here. Again, don't skip over all the really good information, but here's some yellow buttons. So whenever you see embedded links and yellow buttons, you know that's where the good stuff is. So we have some printable play pages, printable routine pages, and learning pages. Okay, so let me show you what those look like. Let's go to the learning pages. Okay, here we go. So the learning pages are similar. It's going to be colors, letters, numbers, days of the week, that kind of stuff. But in the play pages, you have printable boards that go along with some typical preschool play activities. So again, it gives us as support people, classroom teachers, SLPs, paraprofessionals, it gives us the visual symbols to model the language concepts for our students. So if we have a play kitchen, I would print these out and hang them up in the kitchen, in the play kitchen. I would put this one in the block area. So that's what we call engineering a classroom. We have communication supports posted all over the classroom. So we have art, a sensory area, and cars, if we play with cars. Okay, so for the preschools, you've got routine, learning, and play pages. Let me go back to preschool. I think that's about it for preschool. You'll also see some general classroom communication support tools. Some of these things are not student facing, they're teacher SLP facing, things that you can use to support a classroom. So how to build a robust AAC system for real communication, embedding AAC into typical routines. So if I go in here, there's a routine planner that helps me figure out, okay, during breakfast time, these are the language concepts that we can work on. And you'll also find some videos embedded throughout. So it's not just resources to use with students, it's also resources to help you. So here's that routine planner that I mentioned. This is for you. This helps you be better prepared to support communication. So there's a little guide for how to use it, but I'll show you what it looks like. So I would write down all of the activities that are happening in the classroom. So the first thing the kids do is they get off the bus. What words and messages could we target? We could target greetings, right? My goal for you when you get off that bus is to wave hi to me or say hi to me or press a button on your AAC device, right? How is that student going to do that? And what are we working on, right? Saying hi when you get off the bus is a social exchange. So I would check that off. So it's a way for you to be better organized in making sure that communication tools are being used. Some of my teachers will use this one. It's a little simpler. Blow it up, print it out as a poster, laminate it, and put it up on the wall. And every week, the paraprofessional, the SLP, and the teacher get together and decide, okay, next week, what words and messages are we going to target? Okay, so again, some of these tools are for you to get kind of organized around it. Some of the tools are directly for students. All right, back to the homepage. So we talked about preschool. Let's move on to daily living project, activities of daily living and social skills. So in here, there's some really good stuff. Again, some information about what this is and why it's important. Some information about why is this important. I love the pictures because it gives you some ideas. So you can see in this kitchen, they have some little labels and some little visual supports. That's called engineering the environment, right? So again, I love the little schedule of how to do your laundry. So a lot of these visual supports for our students. Here's an embedded link. Jump right in and explore our library of ADL kits. But I'm just going to keep going down so you can see what's here. So some more information. This is just for your learning. Here's some embedded links. We've got activities of daily living. We've got some recipes, and we've got some social skills and social stories available. So let's take a look at the activities of daily living. But before I do that, I'll scroll all the way down. You have your yellow buttons, right? Yellow buttons, embedded links. That's how you get to stuff. So the ADL kits right now, and I'm constantly building more. So as I build more things, you all will have access to the new stuff on the website. So make sure you're always coming back and checking to see what's new. So for our activities of daily living, we have using deodorant, brushing teeth, washing hands. So let's go in to using deodorant. Each ADL unit, the hand washing, brushing teeth, and using deodorant, is going to start with a little teacher's guide, right? Why are we doing this? For who is this developed? It says middle and high school students, but keep in mind, many activities are appropriate for elementary age students. When should we do it? Where should we do it? And what do you get? So you get a little guide with some sample goals. Let's see, some teacher tips, ideas to support learning, ideas to support communication. And then you get kind of an overview of what's included in this deodorant kit. So you get a book, a visual schedule to be put in the bathroom or wherever those activities take place, some worksheets and mind maps, vocabulary cards that could be used to play Go Fish, memory game, just visual supports, and you get a communication board. Again, you'll see this 5-day theme throughout the materials. We want to make sure our students get enough opportunities to understand and grasp the concept. So you'll notice we read the book every day. We read the deodorant book every day. But then every day there's a different activity to do. You're going to get a scope and sequence, some more personal hygiene ideas for different grades. Extension activities. Okay, and then comes the book and the materials. So all of that I just showed you was teacher-facing material. All of this stuff that I'm showing you is student-facing material. You could put this up on your smart board. You can print it out, send it home. You can put it on an iPad and students can do independent reading. So the book just talks about your body is changing. You might start to get sweaty and stinky. And you'll also notice there's a repeated line in many of the books. So if you have a student who is at a very, very emergent level, maybe you record deodorant, please, on a button. And that's the way that student can participate in the activity, right? Maybe their goal is to just attend. Maybe their goal is to work on access, but giving all of our students a way to participate, that repeated line is one way that students can do that. And you'll find that even your verbal students will start saying that, deodorant, please. Okay, so it talks about why we need to wear deodorant, and then it goes through step-by-step instructions. right? The step-by-step instructions in the book match the step-by-step instructions on the visual schedule that you'll see in just a minute. Okay, I'm going to scroll through. Look away if you get seasick. Telling students when they might need to reapply their deodorant. Then at the end of each book, you'll see these think about it. These are intended to help students, give students opportunities to communicate, give students an opportunity to interact with each other. Students can come up to the smart board and select their option or their answer. There's no wrong answer here. The purpose of this is for interaction, engagement, and communication. Okay. All right. Then we've got some worksheets. These can be done in a small group. They can be done individually. They can be printed out. You could use them to assess if students have grasped the skill. So lots of ways to use the little worksheets. Here's the visual schedule that you can print out and put in the bathroom. The mind map is something that you do at the beginning of the lesson where students are able to talk about what they know about deodorant, right, before the lesson. And there are, students can come up and write in or talk about, or for students who are non-speaking, they can cut out and paste what they know about deodorant. Vocabulary cards and a communication board. So all three of those ADL units they all follow the same scheme. I'm going to go back in here. I want to show you one other thing, the recipe cards. A lot of our older students, even higher elementary grades, are doing cooking activities. So you have a whole bunch of symbol supported recipe cards. Some of these are in the form of a PowerPoint presentation that can be projected on the board. The recipe cards provide students with the ingredients. You could use this to create a shopping list. So if you have students that do community-based instruction and they go to Walmart once a week, they could use the recipes. You could do a vote. Students could vote on what they wanted to make that week, create the grocery list. That's a nice literacy activity. And then it provides the step-by-step instructions for creating the recipe. And then on the back, there are photographs taken by me in my kitchen. So they are not professional. Over the summer, I ate like a middle schooler because I was making a lot of recipes. And then at the bottom, it's another opportunity for students to communicate, to practice communication skills. So they can go in and talk about the appearance, the taste, the smell, the difficulty, and if they'd make it again. So we want to make everything we do about communication. So those recipe cards, and there's a ton of them, and I'm continuing to make more. Okay, the student communication project. If you have a student who is non-speaking and you do not know where to start, go there. Start here. This will help you figure out what that student's current skills and abilities are and figure out the trajectory of what you want to do for them, right? So an individual student, you go to Student Communication Project. Okay, lots of good resources there. Classroom Communication Project is kind of the same, except for we're looking at the whole classroom, right? So I want to make sure that as a classroom teacher and all the support staff, I want to make sure that my classroom is set up optimally to support communication. So go there for that. The middle high school academic sets. These are kind of higher level concepts that we often have to teach our students. Do your students have to learn about money? Do they have to learn about food? Do they learn about inventions? So when you go into the middle school, high school academic sets, you're going to get materials that make academic material more accessible to our students. So for the saving and spending, you're going to get a book that, think about taking a textbook that is used in general ed and adding symbols and simplifying the concepts, right? So we're teaching our students the same thing the general ed students are learning, but it just makes the learning more accessible to our students. You get a communication board, an interactive flip book. These are really fun because when you print them out, laminate them, there are removable pieces where students are practicing learning the vocabulary. So those are really fun. You get a bingo activity. So we try to provide lots of fun, engaging ways for students to learn the concept. So you get, I think, 20 bingo cards, more than 10, but you get enough bingo cards for all the students. You get word walls. So as students are learning to write, spell, and define those concepts, teachers can print the word wall out and put it up as we're going through this concept. And then you get some worksheets. Okay. So lots of academic, middle and high school academic sets. All year Cornmore, I spent a ton of time in here because I love a theme. So I work for DTA, but I also have a private practice, and I have a little tiny caseload of kids that I see in Alaska. I do virtual therapy for kids in Alaska, and I love teaching in a theme. I don't know why, I just love it. So when you come down here, you're going to have a theme for each month of the school year. Okay, so you can look here. You've got, for November, we're going to talk about food. In December, we're going to talk about family. So you've got all these themes. Let's look at August. So when you go into a month, you're going to get lots and lots of downloadables. You're always going to get communication boards that you can print out, right? So if you have a student who doesn't have a communication system yet, you've got loads of opportunities to print out communication boards for them so that they can participate in the activities. The daily little lessons, what I recommend with the daily little lessons, print them out, hang them near your desk, and when your day goes sideways and you need something to do, you cannot be creative, you are tired, you need something to do with the kids, your daily lessons will give you a little idea of something you could do to kill the time when your day has gone sideways. Okay, so there's a little lesson for each day. You get bingo boards for each theme. You get a word wall. This is new this year. We just added these this year. You get the word wall. So I can cut these out and put them up on the wall so that my students see the text, the print text, right? Always supporting literacy with those word walls. You get a bunch of original books. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you. Every month, there are keywords that you're going to focus on. Okay, so for the month of August, our words are stop, go, can, and I. We're focusing on core words that you're going to find on any communication board, any communication system or software. So all of the materials that you have here are going to support the learning of stop, go, can, and I. So if I go into the original books, you've got school rules, I am special, back to high school, and an ABC themed book, back to school. We just, this is brand new. Let's see if it'll come up fast because it's really beautiful. This, sometimes it will take you to kind of a Dropbox, but you can still just print it out or project it on your board. So I love this book. It's so pretty. And again, it supports the theme and it supports literacy for our students. These are the books when you print them out. These are the ones that students kind of gravitate towards. So print one out and put it in your library. We are hoping to have an ABC book for each theme. Okay. You get some language activity sets. You're always going to get a book companion. So you go to your library, you check out this book, and then you have a book companion that will help you teach lessons around the book. And you have a recipe that's attached to this theme. So that's all year core and more. Love all year core and more. This is the last thing I'm going to show you. I didn't show you actually. So the last button in your yellow links is the Classroom Toolbox and Library. This is, everybody has their preferred way to get around in the materials. This is my preferred way. I like to go here and see everything at one place. So the DTA library, you have access to the stuff that I've shown you, plus a lot more. So here's the original recipes. So I can go directly there. The games, if you go into the games, that's where all your bingo is going to live. So if you choose not to do the theme and maybe in speech therapy, you want to do, you're working on clothing, you can just download that bingo board. So you have lots of bingo boards in here. You don't have to use them in a thematic way. You've got some fun science activities. I worked on a ton of these over the summer. So balloon rockets, beating heart model, disappearing peeps is really fun around Easter time when peeps go on sale. Shaving cream, rain clouds, washing hands, that goes really well with the ADL activity. This one's new, traveling colors, science experiment. So you've got some science experiments. Even if you're not a science teacher, they're still fun to do. Lots of language to be had there. I think, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of stuff here. You can get to the preschool materials directly from here. You can get to social skills. I don't think I showed you. I'm building this library. It's pretty small right now, but how to be a good friend. There's a book about that. When someone comes to visit my classroom and when I get frustrated. So always be checking back. I know you'll get your favorites that you get stuck on, but always keep coming back to see what's new.